In today's video, yet another edition of the weekly condo market update, wherein I go through the latest trends happenings within the Toronto/GTA condominium market. Let's get to it. Hello everyone, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realtron Realty Inc. As always, back with another video for you guys here today. In today's video, we're going to go through some condominium numbers for the month of October, comparing downtown Toronto condo numbers and Midtown Toronto condo numbers to the month of September by bedroom number, and also last year, same period. But before we get into all that, as always, feel free to subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Your support in that regard is greatly appreciated. You know, it would be very easy for me to come on here and talk about how the Toronto real estate market is crashing or prices have been higher than ever, make crazy faces in the thumbnails. But frankly, I put the effort to go through the numbers, and all these numbers are mine. I did it through my own research. Sometimes, of course, I use other reports as well. So your support in that regard is greatly appreciated. Lastly, feel free to find my contact information in the description box with regards to my Gmail, my office, and my Instagram. If you have any further questions about anything discussed in this video or any other previous topic discussed, or if you have any general inquiries with regards to the Toronto/GTA real estate market, feel free to get in touch with me via the contact info in the description. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get to the point of today's video, which, as I aforementioned, is yet another weekly condo market update where I'll be breaking down Toronto condo prices and sales figure by bedroom number for downtown and Midtown, using those two as my example areas, and comparing how prices have been trending upwards or downwards since September of 2021, and of course year over year, comparing October of 2021 to October of 20. Now, before we get into breaking down the condo prices and sales figure by bedroom number, let's look at where we are at a large macro level, generally speaking. As I covered in my most recent video, the Treb Resale Market Report, towards the latter ends of that video, I went through some condo figures. And what we saw was Toronto as a whole, as an entire city as a whole, in the month of October 2021, according to the Toronto condo market, saw a dip in prices, a very marginal dip, of course, by a 0.5%, around 0.5 to 0.6% dip in average prices month over month, right? So prices were a bit down in terms of average prices compared to September of 2021 within the city of Toronto. Nonetheless, the price for the city at large, at wide, accounting for all areas of the city, Toronto East, Toronto West, downtown, Midtown, North York, the average sold price was $739,000 for a condominium, once again representing a 0.7% increase, or rather decrease in prices. Wherein in September of 2021, prices were at $744. Well, this was all covered in my previous video, but continuing on this strain of thought, when we see city as a whole, the city of Toronto, compared to October of 2020, right? So comparing a year over year, well, of course, the city as a whole, across all condo types, across all areas, the prices are up. Wherein last year in October of 2020, the average sold price in the city of Toronto with regards to condominiums was $668,000. So around a $71,000 increase year over year. That's what we're looking at in dollar figure, going from $668 in 2020, in October of 2020 in the city of Toronto, to, of course, now, as I aforementioned, $739. Well, I broke down the numbers even further, dividing the numbers into categories by bedroom numbers. So looking at 1 bedrooms, 1+1, 2, and 2+1s. And I did this for 2 main areas. Of course, I could have done it for other areas as well, but there's time constraints. I did it for downtown Toronto and Midtown Toronto. So starting with downtown Toronto, all condominiums, with the sole exception of 2+1s, were either around the same range if you look at median, or down when you look at average. Now, as I always like to do, maybe I don't always do it, but I try to present both median and average prices, because in certain cases, right, when you're looking at a very confined time period within a very confined geographic location, average prices can be a little misleading. Not to say they will be inaccurate, but in a given month, if a lot of studios sell, and no penthouses sell in that month. And in the following month, a lot of penthouses sell and not a lot of studios sell. That's going to have an impact on the average prices, because studios, of course, are going to be cheaper and going to be in the 400s, maybe even 300s. They're going to carry down the average. Penthouses, they're going to carry up the average. If you have a lot of inventory that sells, usually this impact of higher end and lower end sales throwing off the average, that is neutralized a bit because you have ample sample size. But that's why I also like to present the median. So by median standards, we see that prices have stayed somewhat steady, once again with the exclusion of 2+1s. For instance, when we look at 1-bedroom condominiums within downtown Toronto in the month of October, we saw an average sold price of $612 and a median of $620. Now, comparing this to September of 2021, we were looking at an average of $620,000, so $8,000 more in terms of average, and a median of $625. And also in terms of the days on market, how many days a given inventory stayed on the market. For 1-bedrooms in September, we were looking at 13 days, whereas in October, we were looking at 15 days. So by 2 days, not a lot, but still an increase. Properties were staying on the market a little bit longer, and of course we saw a dip both in terms of median and average, but not a dip to the point where we have to now start talking about the condominium market as if it's weak. It's not weak whatsoever. But before I continue explaining my opinion on why certain things are happening, when we look at 1+1s, we see the same thing as well, wherein the average sold price for a 1+1 in downtown Toronto, according to the downtown Toronto condo market, was funny enough $711,000, and the median sold price was $698,000. And once again, when we compare this to September, it's roughly around the same range, both in terms of average and median. Average being around 712 and median being around 700, right? For September in terms of average sold prices. Clearly here we see that 1+1s from September to October held up much better, right? Once again, not to say that 1-bedrooms crashed by any means. They just saw a moderate, very modest dip in prices from September to October in downtown Toronto. Now with 2-bedrooms, more than any other unit type, it's more important to look at both average and median, because as you can see from the average sold price here for a 2-bedroom in downtown Toronto, we were looking at $962 in October, whereas in September, we were looking at just at $1 million. So at first glance, there's a drop of $40,000, right? Well, here's the thing about 2-bedroom units, especially in downtown. As I've said in the past, 2-bedrooms have the widest arrays of size and quality in terms of, not necessarily quality in terms of built, but quality in terms of whether it's luxury or middle-class condominiums, right? There's a lot of $2 million penthouses that are only 2 bedrooms, believe it or not, in downtown. And then you can find a lot of 2-bedroom options in downtown for $800, for $750. Whereas the same thing doesn't really occur with 1+1s and 1s, right? You don't have that expansive range, especially in terms of square footage. Where in downtown, you have certain cases where 2 bedrooms are 700 to 800 square feet, certain cases where they're 14 to 1500 square feet. As a result, here the average, once again, is going to be a little skewed either way. Not to say, once again, it's not going to give you an accurate representation. It's just better to, take it in within regards to the median as well. Because when we look at the median, things are pretty even. Once again, of course, a drop of $8,000, going from $898,000 in September of 2021 with regards to the downtown Toronto condo market, to $890,000 in terms of median sold price in downtown Toronto. But once again, a drop of $8,000 in terms of median. It's something to take note of, but it's not that significant, at least in my opinion. But what held up clearly the best month over month is 2+1s here, as we can see, where they are up in average sold price and median sold price by a fair amount month over month. And not only that, the days on market is drastically less as well, because in September of 2021, 2+1s in downtown Toronto were staying on the market for 22 days on average. Once again, here in October of 2021, they were staying on market for 14 days. That's not that insignificant, right? Previously, we were talking about 1+1s where the difference was two days. Here, the difference is more than 2 days, right? It's going from 22 to 14, right? That's 8 days right there. So in October, there was a clear demand for 2+1s in downtown Toronto. So now we have established that downtown Toronto prices have stagnated and fell in certain cases month over month. By no means a substantial fall. However, year over year, and perhaps you're not going to be surprised at this, of course, prices are up. At the end of the day, it's Toronto real estate and it's downtown Toronto. And oftentimes it does come down to how long you're willing to hold on to something. Because when we compare the condo prices in October of 2021 in downtown Toronto to the condo prices in October of 2020, we see substantial increases on all fronts: 1-bedrooms, 1+1s, and 2s and 2+1s. In fact, what saw the biggest jumps year over year from October of 2020 were the 1 and 1+1 bedroom condominiums in downtown Toronto. But when we go based on median, all property types, all condo types jumped by a factor of anywhere from $70,000 to $90,000. October of 2021 was a kind of a trend towards a down market with regards to the Toronto condominium market as a whole, wherein it truly bottomed around November, December. So when I do these videos in future months for November, December, as I probably will do, we have to keep into account that, last year, last October, November, December especially, November, December especially, is when the condominium market, for one of the rare times in the history of the Toronto real estate market and Toronto condo market and GTA condo market at large, where one of the rare times where it truly became a buyer's market, right? However, that does not mean we discount the crazy price growth, because even though the condominium bottom that we experienced last year towards the end of the year was kind of a special occasion, even having accounted for that, prices would still be up by a significant degree year over year. These numbers are pretty consistent with what I've been discussing on this channel for the last couple of videos, last couple of weeks, wherein first and foremost, from summer to fall, the price growth and the increase in market activity within the condominium market that most people were projecting for the city of Toronto did occur, but not to the same extent. It was much more measured growth from summer to fall market. Furthermore, that jump was more so August to September. We see here that September to October, once again, prices have stayed pretty steady and not increased a lot. In some cases, dipped a tiny bit, but pretty much even, right? Things are pretty much running in place as of now. And this applies to most of the city of Toronto when I've taken a look at the numbers. Now, in terms of why this price activity, this somewhat stagnation is occurring in downtown Toronto, it is important to notice that it's by no means an accident. As I remove my coffee from the frame, it's by no means an accident or coincidence that we see a strong growth and recovery in the rental market concurrent to prices, once again, not necessarily dipping, but stagnating a bit. Portions of that can be attributed to people opting to potentially rent for another year or so prior to purchasing once again. As we can see year over year, of course, prices have gone up substantially so for all over the city of Toronto, but especially downtown Toronto as well. And I've said this in the past, but it's going to be quite interesting to see what the end of the year has in store for the Toronto condo market, especially downtown Toronto condo market, because of the announcement of the expected rate hike, which has occurred to a degree already by a factor of 40 to 50 BPS for a lot of fixed rates currently offered in the market. Another interesting fact is when we contrast downtown Toronto to the Midtown portion, so Midtown Toronto condo market, we see that Midtown actually held up much better from September to October than downtown did. In terms of median sold prices, all bedroom types were up, with the exception of 2+1, of course. But in terms of median, all prices were up from September to October in Midtown Toronto. Of course, here the similarity with downtown is, and similarity with all over, is that year over year things are both up in downtown and Midtown. And once again, that's going to be a consistent theme wherever we look. Year over year, condominium prices are up to one degree or another, more so in downtown and Midtown. Anyways, that's Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Realmax Realtron Realty Inc. As always, let me know if you have any further questions about anything discussed in this video or any other video, or if you have any general inquiries with regards to the Toronto/GTA real estate market. Lastly, feel free to subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Your support in that regard is greatly appreciated, but you're not obliged to do so whatsoever. So thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, stay tuned, and see you next time. Thank you.